Reverse. Okay, let's put it on the track, see what happens.
I turned it off for a minute. Well, I'll couple it up.
Working on the floor like this isn't easy with these small engines.
There she is.
There's some strange interference you can hear occasionally between the 2.4 gigahertz transmitter and the microphone.
She's on. Okay, it's time to start running.
This temporary test track on the floor of my basement isn't that level, so I have to pack it up with wood shims. Blanche is a very smooth running low-speed loco, and surprisingly stable on a rough track with its short wheelbase. You can see the Stevenson valve gear oscillating between the frames in this shot. I spent a lot of time fiddling around with the valve timing to get it right, and that's paid off in smooth starts and smooth running. It will go fast as well. Okay, back on the bench. Good run was had. The first thing I have to do is to disconnect the safety valve, because what will happen is, as the water cools in the boiler and contracts, it'll condenses, it'll draw oil out of the oiler into the boiler, and I don't want that to happen. So first of all, I check there's no pressure by pulling the pin in the middle. No, there's no pressure left in there. I then take off the safety valve. Ouch, 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 ouch. Oh, that was ouch. A bit hot. Okay. There's no steam condensing and sucking oil back into the boiler now. Now, the other thing I want to do, before I go any further, is to allow the condensates to come out of the oiler here. And I do that first by taking the top off. This is pretty hot too, it's burning my fingers. There we go, that's off. Now, the condensates come out of here. Slowly but surely. It's all coming out now. Yep, put that back on. And I'll fill that back up with oil in a minute. This is the cylinder oil I use for these little engines, and it's synthetic gear oil. Now, I don't use cylinder oil because the superheater glows red hot, which is what the oil passes through, and Roundhouse Engineering recommended not using normal cylinder oil but using a gear oil. I use this synthetic gear oil, which doesn't have any solid matter in it, so there's nothing to block the superheater tube when it gets red hot and the oil carbonates. ISO 460, probably could go down to 200 to 250 if you can get it. I use this, I've used this pretty successfully. I've even used it on the cast iron cylinders of my 5-inch gauge locomotive. Seems to work fine on those too. This is the displacement lubricator. You can see the top of it right there. And that's a little bung that goes into it. It's got an O-ring seal on it. I thought I'd just explain how a displacement lubricator works. First off, you have a brass cylinder which is hollow, and in the top of it is a cap, a bung, which I've just shown you, which is threaded in, because this has to be pressurized the same as boiler pressure. Very close to the top, a main steam pipe passes through the lubricator, the displacement lubricator, and in that steam pipe is a small hole. So this comes from the regulator here, steam in, and this is to the cylinders, steam and oil. This container is filled to the top with oil, or almost to the top with oil. As steam passes from the regulator, as you open the regulator, steam passes through the main steam pipe, and in the consequence of that, some of the steam comes out through this hole here and condensates in this brass container, and the condensate, which is water, goes to the bottom of the container because water is heavier than oil. There's oil in here. This is filled with oil, as I say. Goes to the bottom of the container. Now this is where the idea of displacement comes from, because that water displaces the oil which passes through that small hole, very small quantities of oil that is, mixing with the steam and going onto the cylinders to lubricate them. As you continue to run, the water level keeps rising in here because more and more water condensates, pushing more and more oil out through the main steam line and to the cylinders. When the regulators close and there's no steam going down through this steam line, no oil gets to the cylinders, it stops working. You open it, more water condensates. Now this process is regulated by how big this hole is here, and usually it's quite a small quantity of steam which is mixing, a small quantity of oil which is mixing with the steam and providing lubrication to the cylinder. At the end of a run, there's a drain on the bottom of the displacement lubricator here, again with a bung on the end of it, a threaded bung on the end of it. You've got to remember this is all pressurized. This has to be pressurized at normal boiler working pressure. So all of these are carefully machined bungs, both the top and the bottom. The regulator, you close the regulator. This is the end of a run. You close the regulator and you unscrew this bung here, and water will drain out through. Oh, you've got to remove this cap first. You've got to remove the cap first, then you undo this, and water drains out with the weight of oil pressing down on it now. It drains out, allowing you to add more oil through the top here into the lubricator. Once this changes over to oil, starts to pass out here, you know you've emptied all the water out, and therefore you close this bung, you fill it up with oil, and then you put that bung back on top of it, and you're ready for the next run. So that's how a displacement lubricator works. There's no moving parts. It's called a displacement lubricator because the steam is condensing into water and displacing the oil back into the steam line through the same hole that the steam enters the lubricator, mixing with the steam and going to the cylinders. So that's how a displacement lubricator works. Fill it, just carefully. No, it looks like it's full up right now, but actually it's got an air bubble in it. Here you can just see the air bubble coming up. Oops, it popped. Just got to keep filling it like this because the oil's quite thick. So you just keep adding a little bit, and then an air bubble will pop up from the bottom and you'll see the oil go down, and then you'll just fill it up a bit more. Or maybe not, another air bubble. Oops, it's all disappeared all the way down. Put a little bit more in. And once it's full, put the cap back on. I don't have to do it more than finger tight. So there it is, ready for the next run. I said I'd show you the water pump working, and I'm just going to do it with the compressed air here. Right, you can see the water bypass going back into the tank. So it's taking water from the tank going through, and with this water bypass valve here, if I shut it off, now that water you would see spitting there is now going into the boiler, and when the boiler is getting too full, I open the bypass, crack the bypass open, and it pumps back into the tank. So that's the water pump working. So if you enjoyed it, let me know. Please don't forget to subscribe. More adventures with little steam engines to come, and some big ones probably too.